Good evening, and welcome once again to Bob Shaween. Tonight I present to you one of the most bone-chilling tales ever conceived by man. A movie so incredibly bad that I'm almost convinced that its sole purpose was for the sake of torturing small children. Tonight we delve into the sick, the depraved, and the cute. Tonight we are going into The Dog Who Saved Halloween. Yes, because saving a beloved holiday isn't a tired enough story on its own, it has to be saved by a cute, lovable dog as well. I can't wait. By the way, this movie is a sequel to that timeless classic, The Dog Who Saved Christmas, which was reviewed by the incomparable Hunter. And while we're on this subject, I highly recommend that you watch that review while you still can. It seems like the YouTube Nazis are cracking down on him too. Anyway, our movie opens with George Banister taking his dog Zeus to see what weird things his crazy next-door neighbor, Eli Cole, is doing.
I'm telling you, buddy, ever since we moved into our new home, some weird things have been happening.
Yes, such weird goings-on like green lights and spooky lawn decorations in October. Ooh! Naturally, Zeus is scared of the special effects team that doesn't know the difference between a thunderstorm and a strobe light, and he runs off. George chases after him, ruining Cole's Halloween display in the process.
Look out for the tombstones! Oh, my brain! I'm coming, George!
And when someone vandalizes a Halloween display, there is only one suitable punishment.
Georgie, look out!
No!
Do sir.
You tell that idiot to stay out of our yard.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm a former canine, and I smell probable cause.
Don't you just love it when a movie revolves entirely around a canine protagonist and the writer doesn't know what a canine is? So, George's stumbling around his next-door neighbor's yard somehow grabs the attention of the entire neighborhood. I'd call this first impression a bona fide success. And then we see the credits roll against all the various Halloween decorations set up in Whereversville, USA, as some cheap knockoff of Monster Mash plays in the background.
Then when I saw what happened next, I must say I was quite perplexed, as I was sure they would all eat me, but instead they came in to join the party.
You know, if you couldn't get the rights to play the most iconic Halloween song of all time, don't make it look like you didn't get the rights to play the most iconic Halloween song of all time. These are the opening credits here. You could easily just slip any spooky sounding music underneath them. There, you see? So, after George breaks his leg by tripping over a styrofoam tombstone, his wife chews him out for being a dumbass.
George, we've only lived here 2 months. Do you know how hard I have worked to try to get everyone to like us?
You know, it's not like we moved out of state. We moved 3 blocks.
What?
You know, it's not like we moved out of state. We moved 3 blocks.
Okay, fine. You know what? I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna let myself get pissed off at this guy's idiocy. I mean, you moved 3 blocks away? Okay, fine. I'll buy it. I mean, you are dumb enough to buy a dog immediately after you promise your wife that you won't buy a dog, so can't say I expect much better from you.
Promise me, you will not buy a dog before we have had a chance to talk about it again.
I promise.
George, you promised you wouldn't buy a dog until we talked.
Yeah, and I didn't break that promise or Scout's honor.
We then meet George's kids, who look nothing like the kids from the last movie, and the daughter complains about how the stinger on her bee costume keeps falling off. Interesting, considering how it's been established that the family's primary source of income is from the mother's costuming job.
I am a costume maker, and it is a big deal.
And because George is a giant pansy, he has to take a week off of going to his office job to let his leg rest. Because sitting behind a desk is such strenuous work on a broken leg, right? We then cut to City Hall, where we meet... Oh, for crying out loud.
Put your head down. I'm hungry. It's an egg. Stop it!
And now I guess it's time to meet the real stars of the Dog Who Saved series. Now, these characters do have real names, but Hunter has bequeathed unto them names that will live on forever in the hearts and minds of generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen and others, I present to you Fat Guy and Put Down a Daforka. Fat Guy is your stereotypical fat guy who spends so much time thinking about food that it's amazing that he remembers how to even breathe. Put Down a Daforka is the, brains of their operation, and I use that term very loosely because he's a 45-year-old man who still believes in Santa Claus.
Of course I believe in Santa.
And yes, that is Dean Cain playing Put Down a Daforka. Of all the actors in Hollywood to suffer from the Superman curse, Cain here is getting the worst of it. Anyway, they've apparently paid their debt to society after trying to steal Christmas last year, which was foiled by Zeus, of course, and they're trying to make honest livings for themselves. And what's their first job? Cleaning up dog poop. Oh, the irony! I guess Whereversville, USA doesn't have the same laws about cleaning up after your pets like the rest of the country does. George gets restless after an entire minute of sitting on his lazy ass, and he takes his RC car for a spin.
This is so much fun. I want to try.
What?
A tiny car? What sorcery is this?! We then meet George's friend Max, who is also creeped out by Cole's Halloween display.
If you ask me, I think he's a mad scientist. The postman tells me he gets these mysterious packages, some of them marked hazardous.
Wait, the postman actually talks with other people about what he delivers? Oh boy, have I got some explaining to do to my neighbors. And speak of the devil, Cole comes home to the collective terror of everyone in the neighborhood? Are these people just terrified of geriatrics? And okay, that bag he's dragging around does look a little suspicious, except that he's hauling it around in broad daylight, and Zeus, who is a former police dog, isn't barking at it or trying to see what's inside it.
I'm telling you, Zeus. I don't know what's going on, but something's afoot.
I think so too, Georgie. I think so too.
And stop talking to George, he can't hear you! And whatever tension this movie was trying to build is broken as we cut back to the dog park, where Fat Guy and Put Down a Daforka exposit that they aren't really trying to go straight, they're just trying to get their criminal careers back on the right track.
Nobody's going straight, okay? Right. Okay, we just have to find a way to break the cycle. Push back a couple years of bad karma, and then whoop, whoop, we're on easy street.
Might I suggest that you get a new partner? Preferably one who isn't terrified of shih tzus? And then we jump back to George's family, where we see that even the kids are idiots too.
Are we a little too old to be carving pumpkins?
You are never too old to carve pumpkins.
Can't we do something fun? Let's break out the Ouija board.
George, are you sure it's your neighbor who's evil? I think you might want to keep an eye on your kid. After George fails to get the family into the Halloween spirit by telling a really, really bad ghost story, he notices something being delivered to Cole's house. And at nighttime, no less. Very good, movie. You're learning how to present something so it looks suspicious.
Okay, so the mail guys got new uniforms?
Wait a minute, what the hell was that?
Okay, so the mail guys got new...
Is George reacting to Zeus's internal monologue?
Maybe it's new equipment for his experiments.
I don't know, but that's not normal.
Oh my god, he is reacting to Zeus's internal monologue!
Okay, Georgie, we have to tell somebody.
Yeah, go tell Belinda. Go.
Yeah, great. This guy can communicate with his dog, but he's too much of an idiot to know what a world-redefining miracle it is. On his deathbed, He would also reveal that he actually knew how to cure cancer all these years, but he just didn't tell anyone because he figured they wouldn't be interested. But strange midnight deliveries and canine telepathy aren't the only strange things going on. Not only is the neighbor's cat Rufus missing, but she thinks that photoshopping his head over some guy in a polo shirt was the best thing to do for a missing cat poster.
He's been missing since last night.
Last night? Huh.
Kent said he saw him playing with you-know-whose dog after supper, but he didn't answer the door.
After a laughably bad attempt of showing off a little cheesecake, George decides to rip off... Well, I'd say they're ripping off Rear Window, but knowing these filmmakers, it's more likely that they're ripping off The Simpsons without knowing that they were ripping off Rear Window too.
Grace, come here. There's a sinister-looking kid I want you to see.
And where does a guy get a telescope that can digitally map the contours of a dog's body and detect laser tripwires?
Alright, let's check out inside. See what we got. What the heck? Countdown to 0 hour.
No. 0 hour happened several years before Countdown. Countdown just leads up to the great disaster that leads into the Commandy books.
That doesn't sound good.
Well, if something's gonna go down in 2 days, we're gonna have to get inside, Zeus.
George then comes up with a brilliant plan to infiltrate Cole's house by offering him a freshly baked pumpkin pie.
What you doing, Daddy?
Oh, I just made a little pumpkin pie for Mr. Cole.
You just want to go inside his house.
Well, you know what, son? There's nothing wrong with being a little neighborly.
Fine, then we're coming with you.
I don't think that's a good idea.
And we immediately cut to them joining him. No counter-arguments or pleading from the kids, he just instantly lets them join. This dad has less balls than a castrati. And for God's sakes, will you people get a life? There's really nothing more important to focus on than this guy's house. And again, because George is a giant pansy, he can't even ring the doorbell. What was he going to do if his kids didn't come along with him?
Oh, shucks. No one's home. Let's get going, guys.
Guess he wants us to come in.
You ring the doorbell, and you're surprised that he invites you in. How are you still alive? So they look around inside, not at all put off by how no one seems to be around to have opened the door for them, and they see... Oh my god. Cherubs! Angels! Crosses! Jesus! It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
Look, Daddy, he's got fish.
Oh, yeah.
Look, finger food. Dad, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, Ben.
Yes, it seems this guy keeps piranhas, and we can also hear their internal monologue, just like we can every other animal in this movie. Remember this for later, because this is really not going to make any sense by the movie's conclusion. They find Rufus's collar, and make a break for the exit. But Cole shows up just before they can make their escape.
Medusa, why don't you take Zeus and the children and show them around, while I entertain Mr. Banister.
Yes, I'm sure the dog will do a fine job of playing the tour guide. So while George bumbles around while trying to get Cole to show him the attic, the kids are outside digging through his garbage for evidence. Great, first they're breaking and entering, now they can add invasion of privacy to their rap sheet.
So, anything you want to tell me about Rufus? The missing cat from across the street?
What are you supposed to be, some kind of cop?
What about the strange noises coming from your house at night? Want to say anything about those?
I'm not gonna say another word until my lawyer gets here.
Great. Looks like I'm gonna have to make one more counter gag for all the stuff that's not gonna make sense at this movie's end.
I noticed you've had some kind of a power drain or something. I noticed a green light upstairs. Are you running any kind of heavy machinery?
Okay, there's something very, very wrong with this scene. Let's see if you can pick up on what it is.
I have an idea. We're having a bit of a get-together tomorrow night. Halloween party for the neighbors, you know. Why don't you stop on by and, you know, bring the wife?
They're very casually talking in a room that has a rotting corpse in it, and George seems very nonchalant about it. If he thinks it's real, why is he not confronting Cole about it, or at the very least running away in fear? If he thinks it's fake, which it clearly is, why doesn't he come to the conclusion that Cole is just an old Halloween enthusiast? You know, which might explain the pumpkin-headed scarecrow and cemetery out in his front yard. Anyway, he turns down George's invitation to his Halloween party, who can blame him, and they all leave his house.
I believe they're starting to suspect. 2 days, Medusa. Just 2 more days.
George holds a meeting for the neighbors to discuss what he's found, and to propose that they should do something about it. Calling the proper authorities? What's that? But as has well been documented, George is a complete idiot, and no one believes him. George takes Zeus for a walk while trying to figure out how to get more evidence, and wouldn't you know it, they just happen to bump into Fat Guy and put down a Daforka. And guess what? George hires them to break into Cole's house to look for more incriminating evidence. But wait! Not only does he hire the same people who tried to rob his own house, not only does he hire the same people who are so inept that they got stopped by a frickin' Labrador, and not only do they discuss the job at their court-ordered yoga class when they could have easily talked about it on the way to their court-ordered yoga class, which incidentally is filled with a variety of fine, limber ladies, since that's the best place to send a couple of convicted felons. But what do they ask for as payment?
I don't know, how much you want?
How about some candy?
Stewie, really?
It's Halloween, I got no candy.
Okay, fine, candy.
And thus began the meteoric rise of the most ruthless crime syndicate in recorded history. So, Fat Guy and Put Down a Daforka stake out the old man's house, where they see him carrying around what's obviously a cheaply made prop.
Oh, hallelujah. A load like that, Stewie, we could retire.
Later that night, we see the Banisters' Halloween party in full swing, and surprisingly, it looks like a great turnout. I guess idiocy and jackassery make people want to be your friends. But while that's going on, Fat Guy and Put Down a Daforka infiltrate the house. And of course, we get all the haunted house cliches that are only going to make the Z meter spike. Living suit of armor? Cobwebs stretched across hallways? Interactive ghostly shadows? Zombies in the closet? Doorway to the attic concealed by a bookcase? Spooky laboratory with reanimated corpses? Flame-throwing farts? Well, okay, that's not going on the meter, that's just very, very stupid. Back at George's house, Zeus actually confesses to why he's so scared of thunder. Yeah, it's not because dogs are just naturally afraid of thunder. Zeus actually has a backstory for it.
It was my first day on the job. My partner and I chased a burglar into this building during a storm. When I heard the thunder, I thought it was the burglar shooting at us. I was so scared, I ran to hide. My partner trusted me, he needed me, and what did I do? I let the bad guy get away.
I am so moved by your plight. Oh wait, no I'm not! And back in Cole's house, it looks like they found the treasure chest full of gold. But actually...
It's candy! Ah! That is candy, look!
Yes, you're actually seeing a 50-year-old man lose his mind over candy. Naturally, this is so stupid that not even the dead can just let this fly by without objecting to it, but when they try to escape, they accidentally get locked inside. But Cole comes back, and George and his kids go off to distract him.
Kids, wings. Would anyone like to bob for apples?
What strange neighbors.
Who the hell bobs for apples on Halloween? Next thing you're going to tell me is that people exchange gifts with each other on Christmas or something. Pfft. While George sneaks inside to save his cronies, the kids distract Cole by driving their RC car around his feet. And they do this for 2 minutes straight. A college professor lets this thing happen for 2 minutes instead of just, you know, stepping over the damn thing. Oh, and look, Zeus is controlling the car too. Because dogs can totally do that. But their mom comes out and sends them back inside, and she goes to get George. And how did she get into the house before Cole did? What's he doing out there? They search the house, and every door on the second floor is opening and closing by itself. And it doesn't take long for them to get locked in the attic too. Morons. But wait a minute, that cat lady found her little friend Rufus. And it seems he was just taking a leisurely stroll in the woods after his little play date with Medusa.
So, if you're alive, that means... Oh boy. There comes a time in every dog's life where you gotta grab the situation with your paws and take control. Storm or no storm, George and Belinda are inside that house, and I am not about to let anything happen to them. It's time to face my fears and save Halloween!
Where are you going?
He bumps into Medusa while en route to save George, and then we get this awkward dialogue.
Save my owner. He thinks you did something to Rufus.
Rufus? Please. I couldn't hurt him. He's my sweetheart.
Say what?
I've been head over heels for that hunk since the day we moved in.
Oh, TMI.
Disturbing question, but I'm charging ahead with it anyway. How exactly does Rufus do the business with a girl 6 times his size? Zeus begins searching for George, and again with absolutely no sign of Cole, and we see that while he's still terrified of thunder, apparently a big fireball coming at him is barely worth acknowledging. And it seems that a moving suit of armor is nothing to be afraid of either, and Zeus figures out that he can just unplug the damn thing. Because dogs can totally do that too! He then proceeds to turn off the self-playing pipe organ, and then he starts playing it himself. Immediately after turning it off.
Never had one lesson.
Heh, that dog wasn't half bad.
I agree. He was all bad. He somehow figures out where the attic is, somehow deduces that it must be behind this bookcase, somehow manages to push it back, and somehow wedges it in place. Because dogs can totally do that! So they're all free, but they can't leave just yet.
Now we can finally get out of here.
Not so fast. There's something you need to see.
What is it, Zeusy?
All right, you ready for this? Check this out.
What is that we're looking at?
Huh? That's the house. Look at that. Every room. He's been staging everything the whole time.
Don't you understand?
Finally, the cops show up to put an end to this mess. George demands that they arrest Cole, and if you've been wondering what that counter gag was building up to, here you go.
I happened to call around to all the colleges in the area. No one has ever heard of Professor Eli Cole.
You called.
Sure did.
And you called and you asked for Eli Cole.
You got that right.
Well, Eli's my nickname. My real name is Cornelius. I'm Professor Cornelius of the drama department. Now, look, I feel partially responsible for this, my work and my preoccupation. I realize I could have done a better job at introducing myself to you rather than, bugging you.
Oh.
I do this every year, this haunted house, for my nieces and nephews and their friends. I enjoy them enjoying my little special effects.
Yes, Professor Cole had nothing to do with Rufus's disappearance, and he just sets up a haunted house every Halloween, which is apparently a big hit with the kids. And me oh my, the questions that arise with this revelation. Why do fake piranhas have internal monologues? Why is Medusa defensive when Zeus asks about Rufus instead of showing concern for her little sweetheart? Why does Cole monologue to himself like a villain when there's no one around to see his performance? Why does everyone act like they're afraid of this guy when all he does is throw a haunted house every Halloween? Why didn't anyone tell George that he's just a Halloween nut when they were at his meeting? What kind of Halloween nut leaves all of his special effects running when he isn't home? That's a fire hazard right there. Who drapes cobwebs in front of where there are going to be lots of kids walking around? That's just dangerous. Why does he even hold a haunted house within his own home where people could easily mess with his stuff? How does someone make ghostly shadows that interact with your guests? Why is he hiding zombies in bedroom closets? Does he let the kids just roam around the house free and wild and encourage them to look for ghosts everywhere they can? Why is the attic part of the tour, and why can it only be accessed by pushing back a bookcase? Why is this tiny attic the last stop in this haunted house? Which it must be, because what other reason could there be to put the candy in there? The layout of this haunted house is atrocious. Why is this haunted house designed so the kids could easily get trapped in it just by accident? Why are the doors opening and closing by themselves? This whole place is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Why are the controls to the haunted house covered up, and why are they in the place the kids are meant to be visiting? Way to ruin the magic there, Cole. It's absolutely amazing. All of the careful thinking and planning that goes into the production of any movie, And none of these filmmakers thought that maybe someone else might apply those same kind of methodologies when putting together a haunted house. Do your research, people! So Cole drops the charges, and they all part their separate ways.
Come on, George. Let's go home. And I'll make you some of your favorite pumpkin cookies.
With the chocolate in it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, George. And you too, Zeusy. I'm gonna make you something very special because you saved Halloween. You did it.
All in a day's work.
Actually, all he did was open a door. We then cut to the next day, where we see swarms of kids wearing costumes from No Copyrighted Characters Halloween Depot. And, wait, what? Now they're trick-or-treating? And dear God, that annoying grandma from the last movie just had to squeeze her way into this one at the last second, huh?
Hey, who wants to go trick-or-treating?
Who are you and why are we all here? Don't question me, trick-or-treating! And George and his family show up so we can get in some costume gags with Zeus. Ugh.
What's up, Doc? I'm here to audition for the Black Swan.
You like to eat wampum?
I'll take a kibble, shaken, not stirred.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, baby.
I can't hear you.
I want to see him dressed up like a Chinese entree. So they all go out trick-or-treating, and look! Fat Guy and Put Down a Daforka are trick-or-treating too. And Grandma's not terrified by the sight of two grown men wearing masks and orange jumpsuits. I guess the idiotic apple doesn't fall far from the idiotic tree, does it? So that was the dog that saved Halloween. And dear God in heaven, this was a tough one. The characters are stupid, the writing is stupid, the premise is stupid, the special effects are stupid. It's just a complete waste of time that thinks little kids are idiots who will just watch anything you put in front of them. Oh, and did I mention that the title's a complete lie? The dog didn't save Halloween! If anything, he only saved International Orthopedic Nurses Day. So if any of you out there just happen to find this little dog turd of a movie in your treat bag this year, I highly recommend that you take it out, place it neatly on the front step of whoever gave it to you, and then light it on fire. See you next time.
From their humble abode to get a jolt from my electrode.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
They did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash. The zombies were having fun. The party had just begun. The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocking, all were digging the sound. Igor on chains, backed by his baying hound. The coffin bangers were about to arrive with their vocal group, the Crypt Kicker Five. They played the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
They played the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They played the mash.
They played the monster mash. Out from his coffin, Drac's voice did ring.